Remember when brothers could look out for their sisters and they'd get in the muck, the grime, the dinge, and they'd scrape up their knees, rough up their elbows, take one for the team, and it was also they could have some fun, of course, but their sisters didn't have to. But if their sisters wanted in on it, they were more than welcome to join. Brothers were there for giving them a shoulder to cry on if they needed it, to listen to their problems, to try and fix things, to make sure that they could take care of their sister, because that instinct to take care of them, to protect them, is there from the get-go, right out the gate. And if anybody messed with their sister, oh boy, you best look out, because you are messing with him and he will take you down. Well, the year is 2020, and that's problematic now because, by golly, boys and girls are exactly the same. This is not true. In fact, we've been highlighting this for a while, and in 2017, so did The Federalist when they highlighted this article titled, "Why Does Disney Hate Boys So Much?" All their male characters are losers, which is true, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. So we're going to break this down, but it basically, when we get into this, you're going to see that this was a fast trend down a short cliff. So there's no male role models in current Disney movies. And why should men have to be pushed aside in order to encourage women? That's not how it works. You don't brighten your own light by dimming someone else's. Your light force stays the same, and all you've done is made the world darker. Now, this mom has been a 90s baby. She was excited. She loved all of their shows, but her husband had a different feeling, a different take. That was because he's a guy and they have nothing but sons. So we do a quick time travel back to the 90s. We hit up Eric from The Little Mermaid and his self-sacrifice, and he's funny and he's charming and he has depth so he can save Ariel. You've got Beast, who overcomes his own vanity and pride to save Belle and self-sacrifice, and Aladdin gives himself up so that he can save Jasmine. All of those 90 male characters, we've grazed over a few. You've got Hercules, you've got Tarzan, all of those as well. But at the core, you've got those princes, and that's it for the 90s. Now you've got the new Disney lineup. Brave was an interesting kind of train wreck, and I understand where she's coming from, because the bumbling dad, he really is. Like, he takes on the bear in the beginning, and then after that, there's really nothing. And she, in fact, her mother saves her because her mother gets her up on the horse and gets her out of the harm's way. So while there is still masculinity, they cast it in a very bad light because the suitors are seen as these stinky, gross, nasty things that she wants nothing to do with. And, it's not a good look for anyone when the males that she's potentially going to be courting are sniveling idiots, to put that lightly. Oh, then she gets into Frozen, and oh Lord, let me tell you, I am with her 100% on this. I am all for that sisterly bond. I have sisters. I tell you, I would die in a heartbeat for any of them to save them, no question. But the way that they did it was to make Kristoff basically useless. He didn't need to be there. He really didn't. He guided her up the mountain, but really there was no purpose for him after that, quite frankly. And then you can say, oh, well, they had to go to the trolls to find out that her heart was frozen. While this was true, it was kind of alluded to that Olaf kind of knew what to do as well. And then we just break down into Maui and Moana, and again, I said this when I saw the movie, Maui really served no purpose. There was no reason for him to be there. He stole the heart initially, and that could have really been the end of his arc, because she already had the heart of Te-Fiti. She could have just gone there on her own. Oh, well, she couldn't sail. Well, she got to Maui. I mean, it's a little bit disrespectful, honestly, when you look at it. There's nothing for males to look up to. There's no role model for them. And so you've got these kids who now are stymied. Even in the 90s, we had the princesses. To say that there was no balance or that it was all male-centric back in the day is categorically false. We had the princesses there was balance. You had Power Rangers had girls in it. You had the Teen Titans, all of those things. There was a balance. What has happened is somewhere along the way, somebody was able to convince a bunch of other people who were able to go convince a bunch of other people that that balance was unfair and that males ran everything. Anybody who knows anything about anything know that that is not true. While men may have been in charge, it doesn't mean that they were the sole beneficiaries. And for anybody to suggest otherwise is ludicrous. Then we get into the evolving of this. Boys leave these cartoons, or you remember them fondly from your childhood, and we transition into adult movies. And when James Bond is no longer the man of his own show, we have a problem. He is one of the most capable, effective, efficient, suave gentleman spies in pop culture. And for him to not be in control and center stage of his own franchise tells you everything that you need to know about how far off balance we have come. And if you are a superhero who happens to be, say the God of Thunder, that's going to be a little bit problematic. You're too powerful, so we're going to go ahead and dial you down, and you're going to make way for a more powerful, apparently capable of destroying planets superhero who sticks her tongue out at you. Because, yeah, that's what we're going with. That's her character, the depth of a 1-inch shelf. And God forbid if you try to speak up about this. Nope, you sit in the back, you close your mouth, and you accept it, because if you don't, you are evil, and we will do away with you. You're done. And if you are a feminine woman who enjoys putting effort into her health and into her appearance, that's a crime. You're a girly girl. Girly girl has now been turned into an insult for girls. You're no longer allowed to enjoy putting effort into your look or liking delicate things or shiny things or whatever it may be that floats your boat. Nope, that's an insult. You're supposed to be strong and rough and tough and tumble and, get it done, just better than the men. Not even like the men, better than the men. It's a complete and total asinine insult to everything that every woman throughout history has done. You don't have to be into shiny things to be feminine. You don't have to be into pretty things to be feminine. But why are you vilifying the ones that are? It makes literal zero sense, especially when you're all about empowering women of all kinds. It's hypocritical on its face. What we need to do is get back to that balance, that male-female dynamic where they could play off of each other's energy and could fill in their strengths where the other one's weaknesses were. There is not a person who is capable of being all things for all people. It's just not feasible. It's not possible. And when you try to make someone perfect like that, it comes off disingenuous and nobody is able to connect with them at all on any kind of level. And that's where you lose your story. Your character has no depth, no soul, no nothing. If we can just get back to the balance and stop this misandry and this sexism that is running rampant right now, it would be so much better for everyone if we could simply balance it out, whether it's a male lead, a female lead, whatever it may be. Stop trying to make the women men and stop trying to make the men women. Just let them be who they naturally are. Develop your script or your scene or whatever it may be organically and build off of the energy that is being produced by the characters that you have created that hopefully have depth and soul and be connected with on that level. We used to have great villains. We used to have great heroes. We used to have enthralling stories. And now they're too scared to write men as men, and they're too scared to write women as women. And it needs to stop. So if you're sitting there thinking, I don't have kids, this isn't a big deal for me, it doesn't involve me, or I'm just a girl mom, I don't have any sons, this isn't my fight, let me give you some food for thought. These boys are gonna run into your girls on the playground, maybe make friends with them, maybe down the line, way down the line, they end up in a relationship, all of that jazz. And now these boys have been told from a young age that their dreams don't matter. They don't need to dream big. They have been handed everything in life, even though they're young and have no life experience whatsoever, and they're being shunned and told that, well, you can't do this because it's not fair if you do that, because then no one else can do that. That isn't true. These are based off the merits of hard work, and these boys now have nothing to emulate, nothing to imitate, nothing to look up to, nothing to role play. They are being shoved into a corner so that we can empower women and girls. Okay, you do not make the room brighter by dimming someone else's light. We'll just keep going back to that mantra. There is absolutely no reason why we cannot go back to that balance, because these boys, how do you think it's going to affect their relationships down the road when they've been told to just shut up, sit down, be quiet, and get out of the way? And for anyone arguing, well, that's what's been happening to women for years, since the dawn of whenever. First of all, Eve made the choice to eat the fruit off of the tree, so we can knock that one out of the park right away, and then she convinced Adam to do it. Just saying, if we're following that story, that's exactly how it went. And then if you want women throughout history who didn't need to be told what to do and didn't need to shun men so that they could let their own greatness show, we could run down a list. I don't know. You've got Amelia Earhart, Joan of Arc, Cleopatra, Queen Elizabeth I, Mary Queen of Scots, Betsy Ross, Emily Dickinson, Jackie Kennedy, Madame Curie, Opha May Johnson, Rosa Parks. The list goes on and on. So to say that there have been no women of influence or no women of notoriety throughout history for any reason other than because of a man is a lie that you need to get over, because it's just hurting you and everybody else. It's time to get men being men back in Hollywood, women being women back in Hollywood. And if you want to throw out a character loop or a subversion of expectation, fine, but at least do it organically with a well-written, deep character, not a piece of paper thrown up on the screen that we're all just supposed to love immediately, because that isn't human nature. That's not how this works. It isn't going to stick. Thank you all so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate all of you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoyed this video and that I earned your sub. Take care.